got color in your cheeks? Do you ever get that feel that you can't shift, the tide that sticks around like summits in your teeth? Are there some aces up your sleeve? Have you no idea that you're in deep? I dreamt about you nearly every night this week. How many secrets can you keep? 'Cause there's this tune I found that makes me think of you somehow, and I play it on repeat until I fall asleep, spilling drinks on my settee. Do I wanna know if this feeling flows both ways? Sorta hoping that you'd stay. We both know that the nights were mainly made for saying things that you can't say tomorrow day. Crawling back to you, never thought I'd calling when you're at you, 'cause I always do. Maybe I'm too busy being yours to fall for somebody new. Now I thought it through, crawling back to you. So have you got the goods? Been wondering if your heart's still open, and if so, I wanna know what time it should. Simmer down and poker up. I'm sorry to interrupt, it's just I'm constantly on the cusp. I've tried been to kiss you. I don't know if you feel the same as I do. We could be together if you wanted to. Do I wanna know if this feeling flows both ways? Have to see it go. We're sorta hoping that you'd stay. And we both know that the nights were mainly made for saying things that you can't say tomorrow day. Crawling back to you, never thought I'd call when you've had a few, 'cause I always do. Maybe I'm too busy being lost to fall for somebody new. Now I thought it through, crawling back to you. If this feeling flows both ways, sorta hoping that you'd stay. We both know that the nights were mainly made for saying things that you can't say tomorrow day. Do I wanna know? So is it being lost to fall? Ever thought of calling down? Do you want me crawling back to you?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I welcome you all to the first webinar that we want to conduct on why product management. So we have been discussing, debating about how to kickstart your journey on product management. My name is Abhijit Anand. I head strategic initiatives at Unstop, and I'm thrilled to have you all join us today. So before we deep dive into the webinar, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves and get to know each other a little better. So I'd encourage all of you to share your name, the name of your city, and one thing that is unique about your city in the chat window. So you can type it into the right hand side of your screen. Your 30 seconds start now. Let's make this count, guys. I can see some interesting chat. That's so really engaging to see people from diverse cities come together. Keep typing in, guys. So I mean, I wanted to take it for 30 seconds, but let's extend it to 3-4 more minutes and let people pour more thoughts over it. Really excited to look into so many exciting comments that is coming up. Keep the energy flowing, guys. Come on. So I can see some extremely exciting comments about New Delhi. What is Bangalore famous for, guys? Come on, write in the chat window and let me know. I was there for about 4 or 5 years, but would be happy to hear, what are your thoughts about it? All right, I see some really good comments coming here. So, in fact, we were at, Bangalore a few weeks back, and we did conduct the Unstop campus hiring meet, where we had more than 800 plus companies coming together, talking to some of the bright minds. We had campus recruiters and a lot of students coming in. And that, I think, made Bangalore famous because of one of the events that we conducted. All right, I can see some really good comments. So somebody wrote about pani puri being famous in almost all part of the country. But super. Keep the energy flowing, guys. I can see really some interesting comments out there. Some one of the interesting comments that I got is that, are you carrying a 2,000 rupees note? Now I'm trying to get rid of the situation. But how about you guys? Are you still carrying a 2,000 rupees note? People are commenting about traffic, weather. Yes, come on, keep it going, guys. Super. I also want to know, if you could comment about what do you think is super exciting for you? What are you really looking forward to in this session that we are to organize? I will have my co-host join me very shortly, but to definitely help us to take a leap from there and then engage with all of you. All right. Obviously, few people are looking for jobs. Okay, few are talking about how they want to get into product management, but they come from a data science background. Most of them are talking about pursuing their engineering or MBA. Super, guys. This definitely helps us to, get into a lot more details. All right, guys. So let's move to what Unstop is and what are we trying to achieve out of this webinar that we are to conduct. So Unstop is a platform where talent meets opportunities. So we do not, call ourselves just as a, mere platform out there, but it is a gateway for you where talent converges with boundless opportunities. With over 5 million community members that we have on our platform today, they hail from 42,000 plus colleges, and 800 companies come on our platform to hire from these different colleges today. Unstop is a place where individuals can embark on a transformative journey. It's a platform to learn, upskill, showcase your talent, compete with people from tier 1 to tier 10 cities, from IIM Ahmedabad to a tier 10 college in anybody, remotely in India today, gain your CV points and ultimately opening doors to your dream careers. So that's what we are trying to do and achieve at Unstop. Now, before we begin, I have a special surprise in store for those who will stay till the end of this session. So it's something that will have an extra touch of excitement for you and the value to your participation. So please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, Mr. Abhishek Jain. Abhi is a seasoned product management professional with over 16 years of experience honed at industry leaders like Google, Amazon, Adobe, and others. He is highly skilled in driving innovation, delivering exceptional user experiences with a very strong track record of successful product launches. Abhi is known for his strategic thinking and customer-centric approach. So over to you, Abhi.
Thanks, Abhijit. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. And right now, just a little bit about myself. I'm sitting in the middle of nowhere. I'm in Coorg. Coorg is a place which is roughly 300 kilometers from Bangalore. Came here for a weekend, logged myself in the balcony. So the only disturbance you would see is some birds chirping here and there. Couple of times a butterfly came by, but I managed to convince her not to come here in between again. And I'll try to keep the session as interesting as possible. We'll try to give you a flavor of what real product management is. I'm a very, very passionate person on this subject. I've become so much of a product manager that sometimes I'm stopping on a red light and I'm thinking, like, can this red light be made a bit better because it is hidden behind the trees and I can't see it anyway. So what can be a better design of doing that? So I think about this thing all the time. Kind of borderline crazy about it, but I still try to maintain some sanity around this. So that's about me, and very happy to take you on this journey ahead. Shall we start, Abhijit?
Please do, Abhi. Yeah.
All right. So welcome aboard, and let's get on to this. So today I'm going to talk about product management and this being the hottest career option that you can kickstart your journey with. And why it is so hot, we are about to learn. But before we get there, some interesting things about me. As Abhijit mentioned, I've been in this field for 16 plus years, spent time with companies like Adobe, Amazon, and Google. I worked on some very high growth projects, which are 0 to 1 projects. 0 to 1 is like we literally take them off the ground and scale them to good heights. In this case, got the chance in Amazon where I worked on a product from zero to $1 billion revenue, some 2 million users. I also worked on some legacy products, which are 35 years old products, which are worked only by people who are 60 plus and has a very niche user base. So the spectrum is wide. You can do pretty much anything to everything. It's good to learn both sides of the spectrum. I created products for consumers as well as for enterprises. I love cycling. I recently purchased a roadie, so I'm enjoying good speeds. Day before yesterday, I touched a top speed of 65. I was actually overtaking some people riding an Active or a Splendor, and we got into a competition, which eventually I lost. And I love doing new things, so started a YouTube channel recently, which is not so famous, which is about bringing some relatable stories from everyday mango people like us, which are still inspiring for many. That's about me. I have purposefully hidden some boring aspects about myself, which is like I'm an engineer, I'm an MBA, which a lot of us would be in this room. So the boring part aside, let's have this PPT with only interesting things. So, what are we going to learn today? Why product management? What is this new butterfly in town called product management? It's like roughly 10 to 15 years old only. Why there is such a immense rising demand for product managers? What are the benefits of pursuing a career in product management? Apart from that fact that you get to travel a lot, and so much that I got sick of business travel, I don't do it anymore. Understanding product management on, like, we'll do a small exercise. We'll build a product in real time which already exists, but we take some steps in the retrospect. What are the key skills? And then finding opportunities, and how do you go about it? After that, we'll open the stage for Q&A. Apologies for parking Q&As to the end. I would love to engage in a live interactive session where I can actually answer your questions as they pop up in your head, and also throw chalks at somebody who's sleeping in the presentation. Please don't sleep. I'll try to keep it interesting as much as possible. But this is a virtual world, right? You can't throw onions at me, and I can't throw chalks at the people sleeping in the front row. So please keep the chat running. I would love to read them on a side without getting distracted on my presentation, but keep it live, keep it kicking. Would love to engage with all of you on that. Okay, starting. What is this guy doing in a product management presentation? First of all, no points for guessing it right. Who is he? But any guesses in the comments on what is this person doing in a product management presentation? Let's run it real quick. I know you are all like college students. It's a Sunday morning. You're still not sleepy. So let the chat keep on rolling. I'll ask questions, and we might have a giveaway for somebody who's engaging with us the most with most accurate answers. Any comments? What is this guy doing in the product management presentation? Hello, hello. Do we still have people there? Yeah. Cool, Nishant. That's right. Satya Nadella. No points for guessing that right. That this is Satya. He's too much in news because of the generative AI and Chat GPT stuff. But Nishant got it right. He used to be a product manager. Microsoft calls this role program manager. There is a lot of fungibility between the naming, but yes, he was a product manager for very, very long time in Microsoft, who graduated to become a CEO. Exactly, Sumana. Who is this lady? Let me see. Let me see who can guess the name right, and then tell me who is she. No image searches, because I'll get to know who copied a screenshot and did a image search. But anybody in the room, I know we have a huge audience there. Somebody has to get the name right. Okay, we are done with Satya's part. Tell me who is she. Yes, Nishad, that's CEO of YouTube. I hope you didn't do a YouTube image search. But yes, what is her name? That was the next question, Nishad. You're racing it. So her name is Susan. Her last name is Wachowski. It's Susan Wachowski. She's a CEO of YouTube. She is also a long-term product manager who eventually graduated to be a CEO of Google. Again, no points for guessing his name right. Sundar, too much in news these days, getting our stock price really kicking. But he was also product manager for a very, very long time, and then eventually became CEO of Google. All right, who's this pretty lady? She's famous. She got famous for a lot of reasons, but she is an excellent product manager who became CEO of some company. Who is she? Any guesses? Any guesses? We are done with Sundar. Yeah. Who is this pretty lady? Any guesses? Or I have to spill the beans here. If you could guess Susan, you should easily be able to guess her. No, you literally got onto guessing. It's not Alexa. But she's Marisa Mayer. Marisa Mayer was a long-term product manager in Google. She even worked with the founders, Larry and Sergey, and eventually became CEO of Yahoo. Oh, what is he doing here? I don't think anybody would know that he was also a product manager for a few years in his entire career journey. He's been an investment banker, and that's why he has a very different stance on product management in Amazon. But he was also product manager at some time. This is the last and most difficult one. I don't think anybody can crack it, and I'll have to eventually make a guess here. But who is this gentleman? No, not Unstopped team leader. You're taking guesses. Jeff Bezos is done. Jeff Bezos was the product manager as well. I think there is some lag by the time I read your messages, but that's okay. We'll make do with that. But tell me, who is this gentleman on your screens right now? Any guesses? Any guesses? We go on count of three. One, two, three. So he's Stuart Butterfield. You could have literally won a prize if anybody would have guessed this one. He's a CEO of Slack. He was a product manager and held various. Yes, Stuart Butterfield. That's right, Prakhar. And he was a long-term product manager before he became a CEO of Slack, not CEO of Twitter. Twitter CEO is Jack Dorsey. He was, and now my favorite guy leads Twitter, which is Elon Musk. So why did we show you all of this? And mattering from the fact that a lot of product managers become CEOs, there's one more phenomena which is happening in last 15 years or so, more so in last 10 years. There's a company which is 14 years old now, which is doing $22 billion in revenue. Mind you, it's not a M, it's a B. $22 billion in revenue. And it didn't even exist. I'll give you a hint to guess this. This is too little information to guess this right. But this company's second most prominent business is food delivery. It should be a easy guess from here now. A company that started 14 years ago is doing $22 billion in revenue, and its second most popular business, second most important business is food delivery. What is this company? Any guesses? I'll open the second question as well in parallel. It's a $70 billion market cap company, which just happened in last 15 years. And to give you perspectives, like some of the automotive companies like Ford, General Motors, Daimler, no, this is not Grofers. These companies that are legacy companies, they build a market cap of $100 billion in like a century, whereas these things happened in a decade. You're right, Uber is the answer to first one. Kudos. Uber Eats is their second most prominent business. They have the right business, which is a gazillion-dollar business that they have. Let's guess the name of a second company. Second company is a competition to the hotel industry, which literally disrupted the hotel industry and made a lot of bigger brands like Sheraton, Marriott a run for their money. And it acquired a market cap of $70 billion in just 15 years. It's never heard of. Second one. Any guesses on that? I'm really impressed that the first one you were able to guess as Uber. What's the second one? No, that's not Oyo. That's not Trivago. Come on, think global. That's Airbnb. That's right. Right, Ronit, Mohit. Good job. Good job with getting that name right. Last two are Indian. In 9 years, this company is doing 5,700 crores in revenue. What is the name of this company? This company also sends groceries to your houses in few minutes. That's their secondary business. Their primary business is something else. What is this third company? It's an Indian company. And it does 5,700 crores in revenue. The third bullet point. That's Swiggy, right? Good job, Amir. So they also do food delivery, which is their primary business. And the second one is like Instamart. They have multiple small things which are coming up right now. That's right, Nishant. That's Swiggy. And the last one, again, I'll keep it a little difficult. Like this is a 13-year-old company that saw peak valuation of $7.5 billion. After this, some things happened. The valuation dropped by a couple of billions. It still is a $5 billion company that does a humongous number of 150,000 transactions per day. It's similar to the first one that you see in the chart. Just to make it easy, what is that Indian company? 150,000 transactions in a day. Transactions, well, I'm using the word transaction for orders, not really financial transactions. Okay, I'll take this one. The last one is Ola. It's similar to Uber, a competitor, our own homegrown company. But what is happening here in 10 years, just because of a smartphone and internet connectivity, a lot of apps have come up, and these apps are connecting hundreds and millions of users, and really building a very different landscape around us. But I would say you should ask, like, so what? How does it matter? The world is getting changed, good for them who are creating those companies, but what is in it for us? Well, for us, there is a lot. Let's get serious. I'm going to talk about product management and about the space. The Indian product management market is a $15 billion industry. Now, imagine all we want is a million to retire in peace, like we become a millionaire. What is it today? 8 crores? And that's how, like, $1 million is enough that one would count after living a successful career. But the size of the industry is sheer huge. It's a $15 billion industry, which is going to grow by 2025. And these are all statistics. These are backed by data, very factual data that I'm presenting here. In 2021, there were more than 50,000 startups in the country hiring product managers. These companies, just imagine two product managers each, it's 100,000 jobs right there. On LinkedIn, there are 200,000 plus jobs worldwide. And during the layoffs, these jobs were reduced the minimum. A lot of other fields faced a burnt of the tough economic times, but product management was rather safe. Salary? Let me reserve this point for the later, but any data point that you see online on what is the average product manager salary, it's wrong by leaps. You literally hit 8-figure salaries in like 10 years time, which is very difficult in any other field. There are some that are better than this, but this is magnificent too. And what we learned, there is a path to becoming a CEO if you are a product manager at some point in time. Very quickly, so I will be moving a little fast, and apologies, because I really want to share a lot of content with you today, so that you leave this webinar in a much richer way, and you consider that you learned a thing or two about the product management, and we'll have a lot of opportunities to learn more about this very fascinating practice. So product management starts with if you're really getting out of the college, APM is what we call associate product manager. Some companies call it junior product manager, but this is where you make your start. And you graduate into a PM, a senior PM, a lead PM, a director of PM, all the way to a VP or CEO of a company. The growth opportunities are literally infinite in this. This is one role where the ceiling is really high. Compare it to a job of, let's say, an accountant. An accountant can run the books, do P&L analysis, but can it go really, really high? This is one role which offers that length and breadth that you can really aspire to become anything to everything in this. This is a very versatile role. Sometimes you will see that people coming from a design background becoming a product manager, people coming from a consulting background becoming a product manager. A lot of my colleagues are data scientists who have evolved into a product manager. Sometimes programmers become a product manager. So it's a very versatile role. And as you move from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, the role transitions from hard skills to soft skills. Hard skills are like you can code in a certain language, you can do design, you understand certain tools, and you can use those tools to create some things. But as you graduate towards the right-hand side, it becomes a lot about fostering a vision about a certain company. An example of a vision, Amazon says our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Everything else aligns with that vision. So as you move toward the right-hand side of this equation, you will be defining mission and vision. You will be driving strategy. You will be leading and inspiring people. And while you start your career on the left-hand side, it's a lot about very tangible hard skills. And it's mostly a generalist role that offers many exit options. I've seen people entering the world of finance from product management, entering the world of consulting from product management, or becoming a CEO from there, becoming a head of marketing from there. So it's a very generalist role, and it's a very malleable thing. Like you can twist it, turn it, and grow it in the area of your liking. Now let's dive deep. I'm going to give you an understanding on product management, diving from the top to very close. This beautiful building. What building is it? Like it's a easy guess, but still, uh, if anybody can understand from the aerial view of the building, what building is it? It's a 1,000 feet view on how product management will look like. It looks sexy. And what are the things that people do here? Uh, we'll talk about where does this role fit in the organization. A very 1,000 feet view of how product management looks like. These people are defining strategies. They own the profit and loss statement. For example, if I run a particular product for Amazon, that's right, that building is Burj Khalifa, a beautiful building. I always enjoy watching it. Either I'm flying into Dubai or going there for a vacation. A beautiful piece of engineering. And coming back to our subject, these people drive mission vision of the organization. Let's spend 1 minute on a metric that I wanted to share with you and take some time to digest this metric. Imagine this is a 4x4, 2x2 metric. Uh, on the x-axis, we have consumer understanding, how well you understand your customers. And on the y-axis, it's business understanding. How well do you understand business? That tomorrow you're selling chocolates. If I bring you into selling oats as breakfast product, can you sell it? If you have good understanding for business, you can pretty much sell anything. And understanding about consumer, if you're in ride hailing business, how well do you understand your drivers, your users, and stuff like that? So let's start with the bottommost place where people have really good consumer understanding, but they have got very less to do with business understanding. This is research. You would have heard of market research companies like Nielsen. They run research on their consumers. They know everything about their pricing expectations, their perception of quality, and so on and so forth. So this quadrant understands the consumers really well. If you move to the left side, this part is product development slash engineering. They don't care much about understanding the business or understanding consumers to a very large extent. Imagine a company like Mercedes. I'm talking about an engineer who is designing a gearbox here. They care least about who my consumer is, or after designing the gearbox, where will my business go? But they are kick ass at designing those gearboxes. So this is product development. If you go one step above, these people are really good at running businesses. Think about McKinsey's, Bain's, BCG's, Roland Berger, and companies like that in the world. They enter any company, suggest them, and they make their business grow. So they know the script, how to build a business, how to crack the uh, jargon and lead a company to growth. They are really good at business. They care less about consumer. But if you see the quadrant on the above right, that's the holy grail. That's the place where you need very good consumer understanding, very good business understanding, marry the two, and build products that would take you there. Imagine a person who's a product manager for Mercedes SUVs. That is the person who knows how to crack the market and take it to a growth. That is where product management sits. So that's a very top down 1,000 feet view of product management. Let's get a little closer to this. This is how Burj Khalifa looks from the close up. Let's say consider this is a 100 feet view of the company, of the practice. I'm sorry. Now, as you get closer to this practice, a product manager is involved into market research, product planning, product development, launching the products, landing the products. Launching is different from landing. Yeah, you would have launched something and you don't care anything about it. It fails, it succeeds. Landing is ensuring that there is a smooth landing and you're getting business impact from there. And you talk about pricing, distribution as sales. So still viewing the practice from a distance, this is all that a person would do at some point in the journey of running products. Here we talk about the product triangle. So for the first, we saw that matrix. The second time we talk about the product triangle, you would have seen the central image in some places. If you're interested about the practice, this is something which people use a lot to speak about product management. It sits under between product design, product development, and product marketing. So it rubs shoulders with all three practices, and it's very, very overlapping with these three fields. But the small boxes that you see on the periphery are the ones which are overloaded on this function. So people who are engineers here, we use overloading as a concept, a function overloading. So this is like this practice is overloaded with a lot of different things. Like you talk about user interface, user experience, accessibility. Accessibility is something when I design a product, I have to make sure that everybody is able to use it. Whether the person is disabled, They don't have hands, they can't see, they can't hear, so they should be able to operate completely with a keyboard or with voice. So accessibility is a science where a product manager has to worry that I'm inclusive when I'm building products. I work with engineering, support operations. Like, you built a product where people getting into a lot of complaints, they would reach out to support. So you talk to support day in day out on what are the biggest problems, pain points in my products that I can solve. You worry about product quality, security. Is your product very likely to get hacked? Somebody can game the product. Let's say you launch a new kind of discounting construct on an e-commerce website, and people really game the system. So you worry about the security, you worry about sales, pricing, communication. And then there are other animals in the lay of the land, which are finance, business. You work with all these practices. So imagine it's a very interesting yet very demanding past. There is a question, please reserve this for the end, and I will explain this with an example on how launching is different from landing. Good question, and I'll use an example too from my experience to explain this towards the very end. Apologies, I can't take this right now. But now let's get really close to Burj Khalifa, which is like, how does product management look like when you're actually working in it? Well, imagine this is a product manager who created that wonderful marvel. He's literally rolling up his sleeves, wearing a pair of gloves, and touching that hot piece of beautiful building. Here we talk about execution, tracking the performance of my product, managing my stakeholders. KTLO means keeping the lights on. Like, you launched a product, but you have to ensure that it is always in good health, always working. There is no part which has gone wrong. Like, imagine driving a car, you have to always ensure that the temperature is right, the tires are good, the battery is good, the car is running smooth, the shock absorbers and suspension is all right. I'm a avid automotive enthusiast, so I'll take a lot of examples from automotive. Apologies for those who don't understand this analogy well, uh, but I tend to use those analogies a lot and spontaneously. VOC stands for voice of customer. So whenever you have products which are live in the market, customers will keep throwing feedback. They will write about your products on Twitter, Facebook, social media, support chats, funnels, and we're not. So you have to constantly worry about bringing the voice of customer in into building your products. You have to worry about customer satisfaction and support, as I spoke of. I'll grab a sip of water. Apologies for my Marvel bottle. I did not have one, so borrowed it from my son. I'm not a big fan of Marvel, but my son is, so that's how I stay updated about this. All right. I hope it is still making sense to a lot of you. And now we are getting really close to product management, which is that 0 feet view. And this is how the triangle looks like. It's okay if you can't read this. I'll describe it for you. The bottom layer of this is all about selling, sales, business development, pre-sales. So whenever you build a product, that sales team is trying to take it to the market, they will ask you for a lot of capabilities. Say, well, we went in front of customers and our product is missing this feature, that feature, that feature. Imagine Byju's has a huge sales team that sells the Byju's offerings to people. There's a feet on street team that actually physically interacts with customers to sell. They would feed a lot of inputs to the product team to build the products right. The left hand side of this is marketing. Let's say, imagine you have a digital product which is distributed digitally through digital marketing. There are various layers in that would again give feedback to product on how to build and what to build, so that you are entertaining the market in the right most possible way. And the right hand side of this practice is the execution part of it. When you're actually building products, when you're working with a tech team, designing those screens, building the backend logic, deciding how many number of people will use the product, what scale your product will hit, what latency should there be when the person refreshes a screen. How do you talk to various stakeholders? For example, in Amazon, if you're launching a product, you have to talk to the front end team, the back end team, the logistics team, the legal team, the fulfillment team. So many different teams, they collaborate together to launch a particular product. So the right hand slant of this triangle is about execution. So the practice looks really like this. It looks overwhelming, but I can tell you for sure this is one hell of a practice where you can always stay interested, engaged, and excited. There is never a boring day for a product manager, and you can see the excitement in me. Like, I'm not really pretending to be so excited to share this with you. I've been doing this for 15 plus years now, but take my word for this, there's never a dull day here. So what does a product manager do? Let's throw some things in the chat based on all these things that you heard. Give me some keywords. I'll give it a rolling start. A product manager would work with designers to develop the screens, would work with engineering to build the products, would work with sales and marketing teams to work on the positioning, would work with the legal team to draft the terms and conditions of using the products. Throw in some more ideas here, like what has been your understanding on what does this person do? I want to read some things before moving ahead. Come on, come on. I hope people are not sleeping. I would literally next time ask Unstop for doing a live session so that I can throw chalks if somebody is not paying attention. Well, yes, you prioritize a lot. That's a very good point. We call this ruthless prioritization. These many teams that are always demanding something from you, they're always wanting you to do their thing first, but you are the one who has only a 10 people engineering team and you cannot do everything. So you prioritize, you have frameworks to prioritize, you always do that. uh, it connects every department. Very good point, Jelen. Monica, it collects customer feedback. Great. Design the project. Very good. It's conductor of an orchestra. Thanks, Prerna, for sharing this. Very good analogy. Like, a lot of people say that you're CEO of the product, but yes, you're like an orchestrator. You have those sticks and you are making the entire room singing, and you have to ensure that the melody is good. Well, accidents do happen. I've built disastrous products also where people did not want to see my face. Uh, but a lot of good answers. Thanks for pouring them in. But I have just one word that describes what does a PM do. It's everything. I have been given snippets of code and I've made changes in those. I have written SQL queries to pull data about my consumers. I have literally designed screens myself. I have spoken to customers myself. So, a product manager, like imagine I have 8 hands and I would do a lot of activities all by myself. So, one word that describes everything. Great. Let's move. Let's get real now. So half of our presentation is done. Now we are going to build a product. We are going to build an iconic product that already exists. You all would have seen, use this product. I use this. The place where I am right now, I booked this place. And let me pick your brains on how to go further. Let's talk about Airbnb. I'm a big fan. Any guesses on who is the founder of Airbnb? One guy is really famous. Second guy, even I didn't know. But let's just throw in. Don't Google search. Like, don't waste your time. I'm anyways going to tell you. But who knows who is the founder CEO of Airbnb? Great guy. If you don't do it, follow him on Twitter already. He engages with a lot of people directly on Twitter. Sometimes back he was literally saying like, what is the next cool feature you would want to see on Airbnb? And there were 2000 replies which he responded to personally. That's how you connect with consumers. That's the role of a product manager. So tell me, who's the CEO of Airbnb? Brian Chesky. Nishant, you're killing it. Great. Thank you. Ritesh Agarwal is CEO of Indian Airbnb. He is CEO of Oyo, but Chesky is the name. So let's start. When you build products, you start with the problem. Uh, these two guys, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, they faced a problem in 2007. They were sitting in a room. They were struggling to pay their rent, and they were thinking like, "Hey, dude, staying in the city, San Francisco is insanely expensive. Like, it's in the lines of London, Istanbul, and some of the most expensive cities." But they wanted help to pay their rent. That's the problem. Problem is as vague, as wide open as it can be. Like, go work it out. Go sell SIM cards to earn some money. Go and run a lemonade stall to pay your rents. But they were being creative here. And they had a second problem, which they noticed. Whenever there is a conference going on, it's very difficult to find a room in that particular location. Imagine one auto expo happens. Everything in Greater Noida, South Delhi, it's packed to the brim. You just cannot find a room which is affordable. And the traffic is insane. For example, like imagine these days when an IPL match is happening, the entire place is all full and it's very difficult to find. So that's how the problem started. So, step one, whenever you're building any product, is worry about a problem. Spend a lot of time in thinking about the problem and what solution they came up with. So they were creative guys, and it really started this simple. Huh? Mind you, like it's a gazillion-dollar company, and it started this simple. They said we have some space where we can fit an air mattress. Yes, air mattress is one where you literally blow in air and people can sleep in it. And they thought some people will pay us to sleep on this air mattress that we can fit in our room. Imagine, imagine like we are a world with 8 billion population. How many people will have houses where you can fit that air mattress? And imagine if you open it up for people to rent and come and stay with you for a night and they're paying you for that, what kind of business will it generate? So this is their solution. This is like they haven't created anything, but they decided that this can help. So the next step of what a product manager will do is put a hypothesis in place. A hypothesis, you would have all studied what a hypothesis is. Like a hypothesis is a statement that you think when I launch this product, this is how it will work. And then you prove the hypothesis whether it works the way you had thought of or it went the other way around. So the hypothesis here is strangers will pay to stay in your house and sleep on that air mattress. And founders, how they validated their hypothesis, that's the second step. So first you write the hypothesis that a lot of people, I'll take some examples of a hypothesis. A lot of people struggle today to get reliable, good quality milk on time at their doorstep. If I build a milk delivery company that can reliably have 4 pockets of milk in front of your doorstep, I will be paid 5 rupees per delivery. That is how a hypothesis will look like. How will validation look like? I will create some basic setup, launch that company, start delivering milk packets, and then see are people willing to pay 5 rupees per delivery. And that's how rubber hits the road. When you thought of a problem, you built a hypothesis, you launched the product, and then see how the rubber hits the road. In this case, the way they validated is they themselves bootstrapped their thing. They did some side jig, earned some money, and then provided air mattresses in their own living room. That's how Airbnb started. That's how every company starts. And these are how products are built. So they offered a networking opportunity that people can come and stay with us. They get free Wi-Fi, which used to be a thing back there. Today we get free Wi-Fi everywhere, free of cost, and nobody worries about this that much. Now the next step is competitive landscape. Uh, Consider my milk delivery example. Are there 100 companies that are doing that today? If there are, then that's a problem solved. There can still be a business built there, but then what is the competitive landscape like? Was there any precedence? Are people already doing that? So in US, there is this concept called couch surfing. Here, if you're like literally doing a road trip, you can you can actually contact people that hey, I would like to stay in your house for a night, and people would be very happy to bring strangers into their house, and they say hey, it's okay, come and stay with us. You would have to cook a meal with us, or next day do the garden cleaning or lawn moving with us. So you work a little bit with them and you stay at their place for a night, and then that's how you move. So couch surfing was already there, 4 million users. It's a great business. So there was some precedence, but Airbnb had a differentiator. Here hosts could earn money. It was not free. That was the competitive advantage, at least at that point, based on the research what these guys felt. And then based on all this information, they defined the problem statement. When you're building product, you have to write this down. This is exactly how a product manager would work. Like first identify a problem, think about a solution, build a hypothesis, see how will you validate that hypothesis, create a problem statement that demonstrate there is a market for paid room rentals in a personal setting, and you are able to attract enough users that they can build a sustainable business. So now that my problem statement is defined, I will start building the product. MVP, it's a jargon, one of the fanciest jargon in the world of product management. It's called a minimum viable product. We will learn more about what a minimum viable product is, but they said don't build a fancy spaceship that can take you to the moon. Like, you don't build a Ferrari, you build a very humble Maruti 800. Again, my apologies for using an example from the world of cars, but you start building with a very simple product. There is a question from Nishant which I want to address. Like, is this like an entrepreneur? Yes, this is like an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a person who is an entrepreneur inside a company. It's a very entrepreneurial role, but the business might not be yours because you're working for your employer. So you pretty much operate like an entrepreneur. Coming back to this MVP, it's a minimum viable product that can make you do one action so that you prove your point and build the next layer, then build the next layer. But you don't build a Ferrari right from the get go. So let's see how they built their humble Maruti 800. They did not have a robust website. A robust website would mean very secure, very fast, looks sexy, and does everything. No, they built a very simple website. There were no options to select multiple dates. You could stay there on that very date where you're looking for a room. No multiple locations, not a lot of prices, and they target just one demographic. One demographic, that there was a tech conference happening, which is sold out, and there will be some people who would be willing to stay because they are not able to find a hotel room. What happened when they did this? Two people decided to stay in their living room, living on that air mattress, and they paid $80 each. So that's how the MVP was built. A very basic website, a single room, a single location, in a place where there were no rooms. Absolutely, they were able to make their first sale, which was 2 rooms. That's the first MVP that happened. Second thing, as soon as they get validation, they want to see that will more people list their rooms. That's the second part of our validation. Here, what happened is they created a second feature on their website where they give capability to hosts to list their houses. I have a place to stay. This is what I'm going to charge, and my house is available. Result, hosts were willing to share their residence and get paid for the same. So they have, it's called a two-sided marketplace. On one side, you have customers who are ready to pay rent. Second side, there are hosts who are willing to post their properties. In the first time, they validated, yes, consumers will come and stay in the stranger's house and pay for it. The second side of the marketplace is the seller who is going to list their property and then see. So the second validation was done, and that's the second stage of their minimum viable product. And then they start iterating. Now, once two sides are built, then you start building business, then you start promoting, then you go to more places, more conferences, you promote so that more people list their properties, then you promote, do digital marketing so that these are more visible when people are searching for a room in Istanbul because there is a tech conference happening. Airbnb results would start showing up. And then they change the positioning from like stay here in a cheap manner to live with locals and experience the place like nobody else. Right now, I'm like living in a place where the host owned this 100-acre coffee estate. They took us for a walk in their coffee estate. They showed us how they harvest coffee, where their workers come from, what are the challenges, how their kids travel 30 kilometers to go to school every day. Mind you, these are like very, very rich people living in these surroundings, but that's how you live like locals. That became their positioning. No longer cheap, but a very different product that competes with hotels. Hotels do not give you that. Then they start enhancing their products based on the data. For example, the first insight they saw was we are not selling enough rooms. Why? Because the images look bad. Why? Because they give host capability to click images and put it. What they did about it, they hired professional photographers who went in New York City, all around the city, clicked photographs. And the moment the room started looking pretty, the sales went by. This is again how Product Manager works. If I created an e-commerce website, I started getting some orders, but not enough orders. How do I enhance the product? I start doing data-driven enhancements. For doing that, I have to get my hands dirty, go into the SQL tables, run queries. What is my active user space? What are they doing with my products? Are they coming and watching my product but not buying it? Are they buying it enough but returning it? Are the products getting transit damage? So many things. Like you get these data insights and start improving the product on a daily basis. That's the 0 feet view of the Burj Khalifa, where a person is literally keeping the windows clean so that you are able to see a shiny object there. And then Airbnb made the vision grand. So this is how the story unfolded. I've spoken through this. I put this infographic for reference. You can go through this in detail. This also talks about a couple of setbacks where they ran out of money, where they realized that pretty pictures will help us sell more rooms. So this is an infographic where the entire journey is captured. You will be able to find this in this deck, which will be shared with you later on. But yes, this is how you build minimum viable products. Funny image. If you're laughing, it's fine. I also did at one point. But let's say you're a product manager. The job you have at hand is to take a person from point A to point B in the fastest possible manner. The part which is above the line is one approach you would build a product. You would design a wheel. You would connect two wheels with an axle. You will design a body of the automotive vehicle. You would design an engine, put it all together. So at the end of the third stage, on fourth stage, you have a car which can move from point A to point B. In the second half, you just created two wheels and a skateboard, and you're already making a person mobile. Second step, you give a steering rod that a person can steer and move around comfortably and roll it faster and get more speed. Third step, you build a handle, you put pedals and evolve this into a cycle. You put an engine, you move two wheels, and eventually you use a bigger engine, make a body, and move. That's how Airbnb was also built. Like from the first day itself, they were selling. And till the last day, they're selling more in a much more potent way, and they do a lot more. So I managed to tell you what a MVP looks like, how a product manager actually works. And the example that I selected is to give you a real flavor on how a product manager would conceptualize a product and take it from a concept to a scalable business. So now let's talk about how do you land a job? Like what kind of landscape exists over there? So in my experience of 15 years, I have divided the kind of companies hiring product managers in two cohorts. The left side says that product management practice is a generalist practice. Anybody with common sense can do product management. The right side thinks that it requires some hard skills as well, in addition to common sense, excuse me. And that's why I call it generalist plus plus. So let's talk about the left hand side first. These are the companies that hire a lot of consultants who become product managers, who are very data driven, who are tasked with understanding what a customer might need and build the right product for them. Same goes with Uber, Meta. But on the right hand side, they also expect a product manager to be very handy with technical skills. It's really great if you have coded sometime in your career or education. You need to be very hands on with extracting data, analyzing data, drawing trends. Well, that's also required for the left hand side, but here you will be creating your own queries. So that's the right hand side, which is generalist plus plus. Here you would see a lot of people from core engineering, software engineering background making it big. But not just those people acquire these skills as they make progress. They will not ask you to code, but they would ask you to talk to engineers about design. uh, if you're, let's say, talking to an engineer and the engineer says I cannot build this even in 6 months, 8 months, you should be able to have a discussion with them that, hey, I think it can be built within 3 weeks. Why are you saying it takes 6 months? And then the engineer would say that, hey, the database design is very complex and it doesn't scale, it cannot give you that much throughput in this much time. So you need to be able to have those discussions, and hence it's good that the right hand side demands some core technical skills out of these. So these are two cohorts. There will be hundreds of companies which will map to these two cohorts, but largely 90% of the companies you will be able to fit in left side or right side. And based on your skill set, your aspiration, you can find an employer which worries more about the generalist skills or the generalist plus plus skills. But this is very fungible. You can learn some of these skills and move from generalist to generalist plus plus. That's what I did in my career. I was a programmer, not a really good one, but a decent one, and I evolved from the Amazon side to the Google side in my career. So it's doable. I've done that. You can do that too. What is the interviewing landscape here? So I'm at time actually, but I will quickly speak about this. So the first part is behavioral interviews. Here, they ask you, tell me about a situation from your uh, engineering tenure where you went above and beyond and did something for somebody. For example, you would have run a college event where you did so many things which are never your responsibility. So here, follow the star. Star is a very good approach. Whenever I give an interview, I write star on a big piece of paper, put it in front of me. It stands for situation, task, action, result. So when you say what was the situation, IIT Delhi has a tech fest called Rendezvous, and it attracts like 50,000 people per day. It runs for 7 days, and I was tasked to host that product and arrange all the things end to end and do program management for this. So that's the situation. That's my task. What action did I took? I created a team of people that would work with me. We planned the entire event. We did the marketing. We got some sponsors and stuff like that. And what was the result? The event was kick-ass. We expected 50,000 people, but 80,000 showed up, and it was successful, and so on and so forth. So we answer every behavioral question in a star approach. Interviewers love it. Whereas if you directly jump on the result and confuse it, come back to the situation, then come back to what actions you took, it becomes a mumbo jumbo of sorts. So follow the star for any kind of behavioral question. The second one down is product sense. This is where people would ask you on, think about your favorite product and what would you improve in that. For example, how would you improve WhatsApp? Now you can clearly say, I would change the number of emojis which are there in WhatsApp and make a cooler emoji and blah blah blah. But here, qualify the question first. Say, why do you want to improve WhatsApp? What's your objective of improving WhatsApp? Do you want to bring more users into WhatsApp, or do you want to make money from WhatsApp? What do you want to change? So exfoliate the question, like you exfoliate your skin by doing scrub. Exfoliate the question so that the question is more clear to you. Demonstrate creativity. Don't jump onto saying, hey, have different kind of emojis. Like, talk science fiction. They want to see how big you can think, how creative you can think. Like, why can't we have self-driving cars that take smaller kids from their house to a play school which is very nearby? Think creative. Like, imagine the bigger canvas. That's a job of a product manager. How big can you think? And then technology will make that big thing happen. If you guys are following what is happening in large language models, that is exactly the byproduct of big thinking. Then there are analytical questions. A very famous question: how many golf balls can you pack inside an airplane? These are market sizing. Success metrics. How would you define your product is doing well? For example, you are a product manager for Facebook Marketplace. How would you know that Marketplace is doing good? How would you define metrics for that product? What is product telemetry? These are the analytical streams. And then is technical. How would you design an app like Uber? What kind of application server would you have? What kind of database will you select? Will you build a cache to make sure that the system is very performant? How will you work with engineers as a stakeholder? How will you do estimations, like how much time will a product will take to build? So these are the types of questions that I will be very happy if you would want to engage with us in a more detailed workshop around this practice and learn more on how these things are done. But yeah, that's the lay of the land. And I'm done. I took 4 minutes extra. Apologies for that, but I hope I kept the session interesting. You were able to grasp something out of it, if not a lot. But I will now open the floor for questions. I'll have some more water from my Marvel water bottle, and in the meantime, keep the questions coming.
So thank you so much, Abhi. This was a super engaging and a super exciting session. I could see so many questions out there. For a time being, I was a little baffled as to what questions to pick. So let me start with that got your eyeball rolling, which was launching versus landing.
Yeah, cool. So I'll take an example. I was part of Amazon Business. A lot of you might not know, but you can, as a business, buy things from Amazon and use it for your office. For example, you want stationery tables, laptops, pantry supplies, and things like that. But when businesses buy, they buy on credit. They don't pay cash upfront because they need working capital. So we built a product that would give credit to this businesses. We did a lot of study, built a very good product. We partnered with a NBFC, a non-banking financial institution called Capital Float, and we launched a product that would give credit. In a month, we could only get 5 customers. So launch was spectacular. It was kick-ass. but it did not work. Where did it fail? Uh, the KYC process sucked. Lot of companies have partners like a limited liability partnership, private limited companies. The KYC product required each of the directors to sign a document, submit it physically, and then a credit line would be offered to them. This process would take 7 to 15 days. Partners are traveling, they are not available, they do not want to sign the document, they want everything virtual, they don't have time to meet physically. So that's the part where the launch was successful, but it was a crash landing. So that's the difference between a launch and land. You can do everything right, but still the product might fail, or it might not take off the way you would have expected. So then you iterate, you make things easy, and that's how you land the product.
Thank you, Abhi. So I'll go to the next one. How can product managers effectively prioritize and manage competing demands and requests?
Yeah, great question. This is the most difficult thing, and this is where we get a lot of friends and a lot of enemies. Anybody whose demand you're not catering, take it as a fact they will not like you. They will escalate against you. We get escalations all the time. Their security team is saying, "Hey, I have been telling this guy to prioritize this feature, and this guy is ignoring my request. Please help me." So, what we do is we use frameworks. We use very objective techniques to prioritize. We would get 100 requests, but we can do only 8 of them. How do we decide what are those 8? I'll tell a very simple example of a framework. Criticality of the feature multiply by frequency of use. This will give a priority of the feature. Imagine a login screen for Swiggy. Now, if somebody is saying that your login screen will break if you will not fix this, it's highly critical. You will have nobody entering your Swiggy ecosystem if your login screen is broken. Frequency of use 100%. If you want to get a user in, they have to go through login screen. So then the priority is super duper high. So similarly, you can define a criticality score, a frequency of use score. For example, a terms and conditions link. Important, but how many of people actually click on that and read? If somebody says, hey, increase the size of this or bring this from here to here, that would be relatively low on my priority list. So that's a very objective way to figure out what product to work on in what order. This is a very simplified framework, but there are a lot of objective ways to understand what to work on and not for. But there will be people who are angry with you all the time. You have to be okay with it. Take them out for a drink, keep them happy. But at job, they will be hurling abuses. Like that happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it is a learning for me as well, Abhi. So thank you so much. The third question is, what strategies do you recommend for conducting market research and gathering customer insights?
Great question. I'm actually impressed. Like I was told that a lot of these are college students, and it's a good question. So market research, there is no one size that fits all. There can be several ways to do market research. I'll name a few. Easiest one is you would see surveys floating. It's very irritating to fill a survey, but still people fill a survey. Let's say you're creating a digital library product for college students where they can loan a book, read it, return it, and pay some rent for that. How would you do college research? You reach out to friends and family and tell anybody who is a student, can you ask them to fill a short survey? It will be a great favor. People are actually nice. They like to help people. They fill out that survey. You get a list of 500 responses and you try to figure out what's the lay of the land. I'm a big fan of talking to the users myself. When I was in Amazon, I would spend one day every week to go out in the market. I would travel to some remote cities, to an industrial area in Ahmedabad or somewhere in Kerala. I would talk to a businessman who is selling water flasks. I would ask him what parts of the country you sell your water bottles in. What prices do you sell at? What are your biggest pain points? How about Amazon helping you sell more water bottles? What can we do for you? What is your appetite to pay for transportation logistics? Does your water bottle break a lot of time in transit? So that's another way of doing market research. Surveys. Then there are reports which are available. There are a lot of companies that do these market research, elaborate, and they sell their report to you. So, for example, you want to do a demographic study, or you want to do a study that will people be willing to pay if I send milk bottles to their doorstep, which are pesticide free? So people can do those researches on detail and give you those reports. So multiple ways, based on your appetite to pay and your use case, you can instrumentalize what research would you deploy.
Sure. Thank you, Abhi. The next question is, how can product managers align product development with business goals and objectives?
Yep, that's what we do all the things for. Like, that's our bread and butter. That's what I do all the time. So I'll tell you one answer. Every product manager's job in an organization starts with strategic planning, where you sit across the table with business, and the business would say, hey, I want my business to grow 25% year on year, because that's the guidance I've given to Dalal Street or NASDAQ. If we don't deliver on that goal, we are not going to have our jobs. Then a product manager would say, hey, what do you need from me to be able to grow your business at 25% year on year? They would say, I need a feature for referrals. For example, we talk about Ind Money as a product. They need more customers. So they say, build me a referral product where if I refer my friend to become a user, I'll give them 500 rupees. That will make my customer acquisition cost as 500, and that will help my user base to grow by 25%. Or they would say, build me a feature where I can expand the market to one more area. Okay, fine. After that, we get a laundry list of requests from business. Then we go through that round of prioritization, which I spoke about. What are the top 8 things that I can do with a 20 people engineering team that I have got that can arrive at your 25% growth objective? And then we attribute business object against every line. And that's how we arrive at a roadmap. And then for the rest of the year, we execute on that roadmap. So that's how the business and product always collaborate and go hand in hand.
Sure.
Difficult
Thank you, Abhi.
questions this group is asking, and I am like getting some sweat here.
So definitely a very interesting group, I must say. I'll
Yeah.
just take this last question here because I mean there's a whole list of laundry list of so many questions.
Yeah.
The last one that I'd want to point at you is, you know, how can product managers leverage data and analytics to drive informed decision making?
Again, a very good question. So, data are eyes for me. Like when I'm building a product, I don't look with my bare eyes, but I look with data. I'll tell you my experience from Amazon. Uh, I was not so data driven by the time I'd come Amazon, but running a retail business is no child play. And I can tell you, I would remember 200 plus metrics top of my head, that if my director is going in a lift with me, he asked me that what is your discount depth in PC category, I would know we are giving an average of 5% discount on 2 plus laptops. Uh, why did your active sessions drop every day? 1 million people were logging into a website, and suddenly that fell to 600,000. What happened with your product? Or why is the discount depth not so high? Or why are you getting drop offs? Or you offered a credit product, but not enough people are taking a credit offering. Or you rolled out a really good discount, but you did not see uptick in the sales. Or you saw a really good number of people registering, but they were not making a transaction. So these are all data points, and there are hundreds of those. So we live in spreadsheets. Like, we are very, very pro Excel users. I work with Google, so I use Sheets now. Before this, I was a very pro Microsoft Excel user. Uh, I would run pivots, VLOOKUP, everything you can imagine to analyze data and then make informed calls. In the absence of data, I would be a product manager operating on an island making guesses. A good product manager never makes guesses. They always take decisions based on informed data. We live and breathe data, and it's a very important aspect of product management.
So thank you so much, Abhi. I understand that we have extended the time by 4 or 5 minutes, but we'll try to wrap this up now. So thank you everyone, for joining our insightful product management webinar. We deeply appreciate your active participation, thoughtful questions, and valuable contribution in making this a success. It has been nothing short of an honor to have you all with us today. And then to Abhishek, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed speaker for sharing his expertise, knowledge, experience in product management. And I'm sure there was a lot for me to learn in this as well. So your insights have been invaluable. We deeply are grateful for the inspiration that you have been for us during the entire webinar. So we hope this webinar has sparked some new ideas, some fresh new perspectives, and practical strategies for you to implement. Remember, product management, to all our learners, is a continuous learning journey. And now for all those who stay till the end of the program, because we did announce something at the beginning, we have an exciting surprise. So I'm introducing to you to Unstopped Product Management course, a comprehensive program designed to enhance your skills and knowledge. As a participant of this webinar, you get to have an exclusive discount, and my team will shortly connect and help you understand if you want to take that journey. So for the next 2 hours, you can use a special code, which is a generous 10% discount on the Unstopped Product Management crash course to placements. This is exclusively for our valued participants. And before we conclude, we encourage you to continue learning with Unstopped, explore our website, attend future events, and engage with our community. Once again, thank you so much for your presence and active participation. Yeah. With that, thank you so much. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was lovely interacting with you. I loved engaging. You guys were phenomenal. You engaged a lot. I hope someday we get to do this face-to-face, and would love to work with you in the workshop that is going to be launched very soon. So thank you. And thanks for being a great audience.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Close your eyes. Does it almost feel like nothing changed at all?